If you've just received your brand new Galaxy S25 Ultra like myself and you want to set it up for filmmaking to get the best quality somehow possible, make sure you give this video a watch because the default settings that Samsung is delivering the S25 Ultra, in my opinion, is just a joke. But let's talk about it, let's walk through it. Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, welcome, super excited to have you. My name is Julian, I'm a content creator, I'm an entrepreneur, and on this channel we talk about exactly that. So in case that's interesting for you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, as apparently almost 95% of all of you guys watching these videos are not subscribed. So what you can see right here, this is my camera, and when I open up the S25 Ultra, so I literally have just unboxed it like 10-15 minutes ago, and when I saw that the default setting is HDR and full HD 30 frames per second, I thought like I need to show you guys what you need to change that to, because these settings are horrible and there's no worry or like no question like why so many people are getting horrible results. So let's talk about it. So what you can see at the top middle, this is the flashlight. You can turn that off, that's fine. Next to that, this is the super steady mode. This also can be turned off. Super steady mode basically is like in case you're, I don't know, riding a jet ski or going through, I don't know, something like that is really bumpy, you can use the super steady mode. It's gonna crop in a lot, but you will still have some very smooth videos. So you don't need that all of the time. So you can turn that off for like 99% of all of the scenarios, unless you're like an extreme sports guy. Next to that, we have full HD 30 frames. And when I saw that, like I was thinking like, what is Samsung thinking when it provides us with a phone that is capable of shooting in 8K? And it tells us basically that the best quality or the thing that we should be using is full HD 30. So obviously we need to change that. So as you can see, we can go up to 8K, 30 frames per second. When it comes to like day-to-day scenarios, I don't know, like you're filming your kids, you're filming content for social media, do you need to shoot in 8K? In my opinion, no, absolutely not. And I also would not recommend that you do that. So my recommended settings are always UHD, so that is gonna be 4K. And then I would most of the time bump up to 60 frames per second. The reason for that is just afterwards in the post-production, you just have more individual frames. So you can slow down your clips and then basically you can, make them slower, you can speed them up, and you just have a lot more flexibility. The only exception to that is basically like when you know that you will definitely not slow down your clip afterwards. So for example, in case you are, I don't know, recording someone speaking like I'm doing right now with this camera, this is not set to 60 frames per second because it just would not make any sense at all. This is just shot in 24 frames. For some reason, I cannot go to 24 frames. Probably we can dial that in the settings, but then you can just drop down to 30 frames. Next to that is HDR, and we can just turn it off by just tapping on it. And the thing with HDR is, it does look really nice on a screen like on the S25 Ultra, and if you're just watching it on your smartphone, then everything is fine and it's looking good and stuff. But by the time you try to share that on YouTube, on Instagram, on, I don't know, TikTok, whatever it's gonna be, LinkedIn if you're in the business world, it is very difficult to work with HDR files. And most of the time the videos are just overexposed and it's just not a super nice workflow. So to be honest, like, I've had an iPhone 12 and I think that was more or less one of the first phones that was able to shoot in HDR. I have maybe shot like, I don't know, at 5 different scenarios in HDR when I knew I needed that, but like for everyday scenarios, I would definitely turn that off. So now we have gone through the top section and I think that's now looking a lot better. If we tap on these 4 dots right here, we can see then we have a couple more options. So we can even change the aspect ratio, which to be honest guys, you should never do that, because why would you limit yourself? Because you can always crop afterwards in the post. Then we can go into the settings, and this is what we're gonna check out now. The first thing, again, when I saw this just after taking it out of the box, that Samsung is recommending that you should use auto FPS, I was like, why? What the hell? So just turn auto FPS off. Like if you're into filmmaking, if you buy a smartphone like this that is like, an absolute beast with its cameras, like you're not gonna use auto frames per second. So just turn that off. We don't want that. Video stabilization, I would recommend that you turn that on unless you're filming with a gimbal and you find that you're getting some weird jerking motions, then of course you can turn that off. But like 99% of all of the times I have turned that on, unless maybe like, as I mentioned, I'm shooting with a gimbal or with like an add-on lens, so that's the internal stabilization is just fighting it. Let's go to the advanced video options. This is the next thing that I personally would change, and that is the high efficiency efficiency mode is awesome. And the iPhone has a similar thing. It's actually also called high efficiency. And the thing that is really cool is you get very small file sizes. So the videos, the photos that you're getting, they look very good again on the smartphone, but again, they're just really not ideal to work with. So what I would recommend in case you plan to transfer your files to your Mac, for example, or in case you want to just post it on social media, I think just going down to H.264, it's just gonna make your life easier. However, something that is worth noting, you've just seen that right here, you are losing a couple of things. So it's always a thing of like, what exactly are you shooting? But for day-to-day scenarios, when it comes to just, recording YouTube videos, social media content, filming your vacations, I don't know, even filming some corporate stuff, I would still switch over to most compatible. Let's check out the other options as well, just so that you know like when you should be using that. So in case you want high bitrate videos, so you can record like if you want the absolute best quality, then of course you can turn that on and then you will have even better quality. But again, it's gonna be very difficult to work with those files. HDR, you can record in 10-bit HDR, which is absolutely awesome. And I remember back then, like when the iPhone released that feature, it is just, you're getting some very crispy colors and the dynamic range is awesome. But for day-to-day scenarios, like the workflow, in my opinion, is not worth the result. So I would not use that. And then log, I would only recommend that you use log in case you are more or less like doing this more professionally. Just using log because the phone has it and you're not really into editing and you don't know how to work with LUTs and stuff. I would not recommend that you use that because again, the workflow, if you weigh up like what's the workflow, how difficult is that workflow compared to the increase in picture quality, I think in 9 out of 10 scenarios, this is not worth it. I would only use like these settings. This is what I would use in case I really need the absolute best quality, in case, I don't know, I want to show off like how the 8K video is looking and how fantastic the image is. But for like as I mentioned, more or less for any day-to-day scenario, I would not use that. If we go down to the audio, zoom in, mic, 360-degree recording, audio playback, we can basically turn that off and just use it like this. But as I mentioned before, I personally am just going to use my phone like this, and I've gotten some awesome results with that. I even shot up a commercial for BMW with basically these settings just on the iPhone. So this is what I would recommend. And in case you want to, learn how you can shoot better videos, you can check out Smartphone Filmmaking Pro below. There we're sharing everything, like all of the secrets that you need to know when it comes to composition and using add-on lenses and, add-on gear such as 3-axis gimbals and stuff. In case you want to check that out, I will link it down below. In case you want to see more videos about the S25 Ultra, we're currently in the process of shooting a bunch of videos with it. So make sure you get in subscribe. And in case you're struggling with, landing your goals in 2025, then check out this video over there.